Okay, so this objective is define biogeochemical cycles. And some keywords to remember with this objective are nutrients and how they move between the biotic world and the abiotic world. Let's break those down a little more. So biotic, the living factors in our world, and abiotic are the non-living factors. And then what are biogeochemical cycles? So if you break down this word, it's biological, geological, and chemical processes. And these processes cycle the nutrients needed for life through them. So let's talk about, first, here's a little illustration of the different examples of biotic factors and abiotic factors. So biotic factors can include everything from plants and animals to bacteria, fungi, and abiotic factors are things like the air, water, soil, and all the influences included in those. So what are the nutrients that we are cycling between these two worlds, the biotic and the abiotic? Let me back up one. We're going to talk about first, go into a little bit more of the abiotic factors, and then we'll talk about which nutrients are essential for life. So the abiotic factors that are part of biogeochemical cycles are the lithosphere, right here, the hydrosphere, and the atmosphere. So the lithosphere is referring to rocks and minerals. So that can be anything from mountains, valleys, soil, and the lithosphere is affected by pressures and forces such as sunlight, wind, ice, water, and different chemical changes. And the hydrosphere refers to water. So that includes oceans, lakes, rivers, snow, glaciers, and water underneath the Earth's surface. And it also includes water vapor found in the Earth's atmosphere. And that brings us to the third abiotic factor, which is the atmosphere. Oops. So the atmosphere refers to the air that surrounds the Earth and all the various gases that compose it. So the atmosphere also includes factors like the weather, and all of these factors, all these abiotic factors, the lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, interact with biotic factors, which we sometimes call the biosphere. And that's composed of all living organisms, including plants, animals, bacteria, fungi, etc. So now that we kind of have an idea of what the abiotic and biotic factors are included in biogeochemical cycles, let's talk about the nutrients that go through these cycles. So an acronym to remember the nutrients that make up life is CHNOPS. And this stands for carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. So these nutrients are the main nutrients that make up living things. Over 90% of everything in living things is made of these elements. And there are additional trace elements and minerals that are present as well, but these are the big guys. So all of these nutrients have their own cycle, and we can track how they cycle between the biotic and the abiotic world. So there's the carbon cycle, the water cycle, the nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle, and the sulfur cycle. And why do living things need all of these nutrients? So just a simple overview of why these things are necessary. So first, water, H2O, is the medium for pretty much all reactions that occur in living things. Oxygen, in particular, is used to release energy and transfer energy along with hydrogen. Carbon, most of the macromolecules that living things are built out of are carbon-based. And nitrogen and sulfur are important components of protein molecules that allow living things to function. And phosphorus is a component of DNA, RNA, and ATP, which are also essential components in lots of living things. And a key concept to understand when you're learning about biogeochemical cycles is the law of conservation of matter. And the law of conservation of matter states that during a chemical reaction, atoms are neither created nor destroyed. You could say they're just rearranged. So matter is always conserved. And when you have that key idea in mind, you can understand how matter moves between the abiotic world into the biotic world, and then how it just is constantly recycled among all these different cycles. And it's never lost. It's just always being moved through different cycles and rearranged.